So a big bang for buck, if you will, from the last 10 episodes is Lessons from History. It is by far the smallest book that we read in the last, I think it's probably 100 pages in length. And there is so much in it. It is so dense. There is so much knowledge in it. And there's like effectively the joint work of a life partnership between husband and wife working on the same, overarching life project together that has found its way into this book. And
the very ability to say that much so succinctly is an art almost.
I totally agree. They've clearly written a lot, both of them.
Yeah.
And
the fascinating thing about it was that when I read it, because for the prep for the episode, I read it, and I'd read it a few years ago, maybe 3-4 years ago, I read it again. I was understanding things that I didn't understand the time before that when I first read it. And there'll be stuff that I'll understand when I read it in 10 years that I don't understand now. That's what's so interesting about it to me. I'm exactly the same. I've read the book twice now too, and the second reading, you come back to it, and there's so many different things. And you could look at, if you're looking at if you're doing it in hard copy or whatever, then you might have your notes or some underlines and things, and you look at those underlines that you've had, and you're like, why would I even underline this? Like, this is obvious, or this is basic knowledge. But the reality is, at the time that you were first going through it, it wasn't. It was something that really grabbed you, and this book is definitely one of those books that I think you could come back to. I'm sure we'll come back to this in another 10 years' time, mate, and then it will be drawing us in even more, and we'll be still saying, bloody young Ryan, young Lockie, what were they thinking of underlining this bit of the book and writing this little comment? Yeah. Anything in particular, like any themes from that one that I know it's such a dense book, but is there anything that you wanted to pull out?
Yes. So we are all destined to be human is the big summary of the book, because the whole book is broken up into different disciplines. It's like history and politics, history and economy, history and socialism, and all these other there's like 10 to 15 different bits it's broken up into. And effectively you could round the entire thing off just saying, we haven't changed at all, across this entire length of history. And to think that we have, or to think that we're more sophisticated now, is just simply not true. People are the same. And the thing that has progressed, though, is society itself, built off the back of the systems that we have in society. But every single person that's born is born into they aren't born in inheriting all this knowledge, inheriting all this culture, inheriting all this language, these beliefs, these understandings, the perspective they look at the world. That transmission needs to happen for every single person. And I think that was it seems very obvious, but until it's like pointed out to you, it's kind of a little bit hidden, maybe to some degree. And so what's really exciting is the fact that the systems that we have been able to build have allowed society to progress. So we're kind of standing on the shoulders of giants, and those giants have been transmitted through the systems that we've got to enable society. So the political systems, the knowledge bases, whatever. Now we're looking at technology.
It's just looking at the world from such a
or humans and society from such a zoomed out lens, you know. It's at 10,000 feet and throughout time, you know, is an incredible, and it's kind of to prove your point about it, we haven't changed much. The book feels a bit like it was written, you know, 5-10 years ago. It's pretty, and that goes to show it's a little bit timeless, you know.
Well, it was written in the 60s or 50s.
Yeah, 50s or 60s. So not much. You couldn't say that about many books. So really, really cool book.
Yeah, it's like you could place this book anywhere in time and it's still just totally relevant, you know.
Yeah, it was almost like it's not without bias, but it's looking at humans as an animal almost. And the only other book I've read like that was *Sapiens*, you know.
Mm-hmm. Which hasn't had an appearance yet, but it will one day.
Felt very objective, yeah.
My favorite quote from that whole book was, "Nothing is clearer in history than the adoption by successful rebels of the methods they were accustomed to condemn in the forces they deposed."
So that's just summarizing Animal Farm in one sentence.
Correct, yeah.
Pretty cool.
That's exactly right. And you know, that was a bold statement that they made, and you know, they have studied history, all of human history, and for them to come out with something like that is quite interesting.